Hello, everyone. My name is Kara, and I am one of the co-owners of Des Moines Mom. And we have with us today, Director of Primrose School, Anissa DA. So
Hi.
we are excited to talk about Primrose School. Anissa, can you just tell me a little bit about actually where you're located first?
So we're located on Hickman on the west side of the interstate, right in the area of Lifetime Fitness and Stu Hansen.
Oh, yes. Yeah, like right in front of, like right by Mr. Car Wash too. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, right by the car wash.
Awesome. Tell me, so you guys are, a new build, a brand new building. What does your opening look like?
We are projecting to open the first week in January.
Okay, very
So
good.
construction's been moving along, the playground's been put in, so it's getting exciting.
Okay, awesome. Um, I think, talking about construction, that's a great segue here because anytime, you are building a new site with the intention of, you know, hosting lots of different kids and people, and in the world and time of COVID, parents are concerned about what is considered safe, how they're going to keep their children and their families healthy, and during this time where there's a lot of sickness that's going on. Tell me a little bit about your building and some of the things that you are doing to try and mitigate some of that.
Yes, we are at an advantage because we are in the middle of construction. So there are some enhancements that we placed in the building to help out with communicable diseases, COVID, influenza. We have an I-Wave air purifier system that's been installed in the HVAC system, and this will kill up to 90% of pathogens. We have also installed touchless water, soap, and paper towel dispensers.
Mhm.
Lighting in the building will be done by sensor, so you won't have to hit the switches. We also have additional cleaning. In our particular field, the cleaning is very extensive already because we're in group care. So what we're going to be doing is doing a second cleaning where we have someone come in and spray everything down. Hand washing is something that will always be in place forever, which is a good thing. So we teach the kids how to wash their hands.
Mhm.
We will also be working on taking out some equipment that could carry some germs. So we just want to make sure like plush items are out of the classrooms. We are going to reduce the amount of equipment and supplies taken home and just back and forth to school. So we will supply sleep sacks for the little ones,
Oh, yeah.
and then also sheets and blankets for older children that nap. Like I said, we just want to make sure we reduce the amount of items going back and forth to home and school.
Yeah, no, that's something that I hadn't even thought of because, right, when we were in group daycare in our daycare center, we had to think about bringing, sheets for those newborn cribs, and we had to think about bringing blankets and all those other things. So yeah, that's awesome to be able to kind of cut down on some of those things that are going back and forth.
Yeah. So we'll be pretty busy because laundry will be done every single day. So we'll have a schedule set up so each room will be able to wash everything. So on a daily basis. In the before times, we used to wash once a week,
Mhm.
and each child is designated their own cot or crib. And now the best practice is laundering every single day.
All right. And additional follow-up question with that, Anissa. You talked about, spraying down toys and those things. How often does that have to happen?
So the toys that are mouthed
Mhm.
by little ones get put into a bucket, like a container, and those will be washed daily. So if we see it go in a mouth, it gets put away.
Mhm.
Spraying down the toys in the classroom, that will occur daily. And then of course, like I said, we'll have the second spray of disinfectant that will come through later in the evening.
Mhm.
So the cleaning of supplies and equipment is on the daily schedule. And of course, if anything happens, we'll clean it down. If it is a high touch surface, usually we try to wipe that down 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay. Yeah. That is a lot of like cleaning protocols to have to put into place and to kind of just be cognizant of all of the time. Yeah, I did have one question too. When we were talking about like, limiting the number of things that are going back and forth and in and out, how, as far as like limiting the number of people that are inside your facility, as far as like, pick up and drop offs, do you have to kind of have updated protocols for those too?
Yes. So what we'll do is we will do a health check screening outside the building.
Mhm.
And that will include a head to toe check, questions for parents, and then also a temperature check. And then the child will be escorted back to the classroom by staff. So as our numbers increase, we want to reduce the amount of people going in and out. Also, that would include vendors. If that's something, we would have them come after hours.
Mhm.
Also, another thing that we would do is our meals. The meals will be prepped and plated and put on a cart and then put in front of the door. And then when the classroom is ready for lunch, the teacher can grab the cart. So that way we don't have one person bouncing between the classrooms.
Okay. That makes sense. Do, if you have a classroom of 3-year-olds, do they primarily stay in their like 3-year-old area, or are there, areas where they're common areas where, all of the children will be?
So the only common area that we would have would be the playgrounds, and that will be cleaned in between each group. The playground is age and developmentally appropriate for the age group. And so the cleanings will occur between. And then of course, we'll do an additional cleaning during nap time. We'll have someone go down and spray everything and let it dwell. It usually has a dwell time like 1 to 2, 3 minutes,
Right.
and then air dry.
Okay. I had another question that you had said something that it, triggered another question in my head. When you mentioned doing like a head to toe body check, what does that mean exactly?
So what you're looking for is, we all do it with each other. When you see somebody, you can see if they're well rested, if they're focused, if they're a little disheveled, like they just got scooped out of bed and rushed in. There's just a lot of cues that we're looking for. Runny noses. Sometimes our lip coloring can be a little off too. Matted eyes. We could also look for glossiness in the eyes and the pupils. So it's just kind of an overall head to toe check that we're doing just for general wellness.
Right. That makes sense. I know with having school age children that, if my kids have any of those, symptoms as far as a fever, like low grade fevers, if they have a cough, those types of things, are those some of the same types of warning signs and signals that a child would have to stay at home if they were exhibiting some of those things?
It would be something that we would want to question further. The thing is that it's still tricky because we're in a time of COVID and influenza, but we're also in a time of developmental growth. And so if you have a child that's teething, we want to know, is it really teething? If we have a child that has an ear infection, so it's very complicated, but we're all in this together. So we want to make sure that our communication with the parents and the teachers is very, very tight. One example that I give is if a child comes to school and is very, very tired and just doesn't have a great day, and then the parents come and pick up in the afternoon and say, oh yeah, we were at the baseball game last night. We got home really late. That's the type of information that the caregivers want to know, because then maybe we could change up our activities and offer more quiet, calm activities for our friend who's tired because they're watching the iCubs. So I just want to make sure that our communication with the teachers and the parents flows naturally, because we're going to help each other out when we see the kids not eating as much as they usually do. Their nose is runny, but it's clear, it's not goopy yet. And the thing is those are indicators that maybe we need to go into a healthcare provider and do a check to find out, is this something we should really be worried about, or something that needs a little bit more assistance, or is this a developmentally appropriate episode of teething? So it's kind of a balance and a ballet, and it's something that we need to do together. And I know that we can be a little defensive because we start thinking about, I'm going to miss time for work, I've got a copay. And I know that's running through, because it's running through my head too. Is like, am I putting this family out by bringing this information? But the thing is that we always have to remember, it's always about the children. Children come first. And so we need to find out what's going on here. And then the thing is that being in group care, we have to take care of each other and be responsible.
Yep. Preach it. I mean, those are the types of things that, right, like we have to consider every single day as, you know,
Mhm.
I'm sending my kids to hybrid school still. So yeah, all of those things are super important just during COVID and also outside of COVID too. So I can sympathize and appreciate that viewpoint. Okay, we've talked a lot about COVID and protocols and cleaning procedures and all of those different things. But, you know, we didn't really talk about Primrose School as a whole and how they are different and what makes them stand apart.
Primrose is new to Iowa. It's a franchise program that has about, I think, 400 programs across the nation. It originates out of Georgia, founded by a working mom. And the nice part of Primrose that separates us from other programs is that the curriculum is already developed by an education council. This education council looks for the latest and greatest best practices, best research, and timely. So we're getting these updates frequently, so that way we know the importance of sign language for babies. We know the importance of social emotional development and strategies on how to advocate for what you want in an appropriate way. Those things come down. The teachers have the lesson plans, and then they implement them and bring it to life for the kids. The best part as a teacher is that you're able to do your observations. And then not only that, what you're able to do is really get in tune with those kids individually to find out what is the next step to enhance learning for this individual child. That has been the biggest takeaway for me with Primrose. And within the lesson plans, they do have additional activities if a child has already mastered something. So that way we can go ahead and continue on. And so we don't have a child we see those kids that are gifted and talented that pick things up, and then all of a sudden they're bored, and then they come up with their own things that they want to do. So the teachers are able to stay on top of it. And then not only that, able to encourage those kids that still need a extra time to explore and master an activity.
Okay, that sounds great. I mean, I'm familiar with Montessori type of schooling. How would you compare and contrast it to that type of?
So the Montessori, so there is within the theories, Montessori is incorporated into this. So there is those elements. The nice thing, and kind of along with Montessori, when children are doing an activity that they enjoy, they are going to continue to do it for a long period of time. So if you have a child that likes to play in block area and doesn't want to sit down at the table and write his name, that is okay. And the goal is, we're trying to get that tripod hold for writing. Right. So what would it take to bring a clipboard and a piece of paper over to block area where the child is? Let's make a blueprint. Let's make a map. Let's put your name on it so we can hang it up in this area. And honor the child's work and interest and passion for block area. So I really do think that we have this ability to let children explore, and it's not scheduled where, okay, clean up, we got to go do this, clean up, we got to do this. Children are allowed to have time to explore, and it's written in our lesson plans. In the morning, if a child wants to do that, go ahead and let them. And not only that, what would it take for a child to build a block area and still listen to the story that's going on across the room? They will. If it's an interesting story, they'll stop and take a look at it, and that's okay.
Mhm. That sounds great. Nuts and bolts of Primrose School. Tell me what ages, you service, as well as kind of, number of kids per classroom and what parents could expect for that.
So we will have infants, and that's 6 weeks, and then it'll go all the way up to pre-K.
Okay.
And so we will have 2 classes of the infants, the toddlers. We'll have early preschool, and then we have a pathways program, and that's for children that have those birthdays that kind of fall around that kindergarten cutoff. And then we have the pre-K program.
Okay.
So it's going to be exciting. As we get ready to open up our numbers, we will not open up with full enrollment. We will kind of phase in, because as we open during a time of COVID, we want to make sure that we get it right.
Right. That makes sense. So what kind of is your target number for?
Our target is about 40 to 60 kids when we open up.
Okay. So, let's say that I'm a parent and you sold me. I'm interested. I would love to be able to connect with you. What types of, things are you offering right now to prospective parents that are interested in enrolling their child?
So currently what we're doing is we are offering virtual tours, which are Zoom, one-on-one with families to kind of find out what their needs are. And not only that, what their ideas of parenting are. That's important to know, especially when it comes to feeding and resting, and then also discipline. We want to kind of make sure that we're on the same page. Then we'll also be able to offer up with the tuition. We have a full 5-day program, and we have part-time programs, and we have half-day programs. We will also be offering up a discount for our registration fee for those new families that open up with us at our launch.
Okay. That sounds great. I had a question that I was going to ask you. It was good, but it is floating away. I think that all of those things sound really great. Virtual Zoom tours, that, I think that's not ideal, but it's the best that we can do in these situations.
I think what we will do before we open, we will actually have a schedule where we can have families come in physically, but it will have to be on a rotation, so that way we can clean in between each family that comes through. And of course, we will have social distancing, mask wearing, hand sanitizer and spray. So it might be on like a 30-minute rotation, so that way we can do cleaning as we go through the building. So we're working on logistics of doing physical tours when we get closer to opening.
I remembered what my question was. What are your hours that you're going to be open for
That's
parents?
a good question. We will be open from 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening. That will also include meals, and those meals are morning breakfast and a morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, and then a late snack for our friends that stay late.
Okay. They sound like they will be well taken care of. One question that we had somebody drop in: what are you doing about mask wearing? How will your staff and your kids, what are your procedures for those?
So the staff will all be wearing masks. Those masks will be disposable, so that way we can stay on top and have a fresh mask every day. We will also ask that our older kids wear a mask. Kids are resilient, and I see kids managing a mask just fine. Some of our younger kids will struggle, but I also see this as a learning opportunity. Mask wearing is extremely important. And if we have a 3-year-old that is working on the skill of putting a mask on and keeping it on over his nose, those are things that we have to teach. So it's encouraged, but not required for our little friends.
Okay, that makes sense. And the question of masks, it's not a forever thing, right? It's definitely a right now and, something that we have to deal with in the present, but hopefully in who knows how long that will not be an issue at hand.
Agreed.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Anissa. I should have mentioned this at the top, but I will also mention this in the comments too, that we are giving away $5 Caribou Coffee gift cards to 3 lucky winners. So if you have questions or if you have something that you would like addressed by Primrose, or if you would like to get in contact, we would love to hear those things. So drop a note or a comment in the comment section here, and we will make sure that we connect you with the right person. We will also be posting just links to their Facebook page as well as their website, and also additional information and a picture of that iWave purifier for the building.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.